Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we're back again with another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Kathy Sparrow, and she brings light into the world with words. She's also known as the Literary Midwife, and she's an award-winning author, ghostwriter, screenwriter, and publishing consultant who has been mentoring aspiring writers of nonfiction, fiction, and poetry for over 2 decades. Captivated by the power of storytelling since childhood, Kathy spent years in the world of writing and publishing, and today she primarily works with authors and helping them, authors and aspiring writers, helping them through every stage of the creative process, guiding them in crafting books, blogs, and articles. She has supported the literary journeys of Olympic athletes, fitness experts, children's book authors, and thought leaders in private equity, finance, and healthcare, just to name a few. And she helps to bring their stories to life. In her latest book, it's in the second edition, The Whispered Teachings of Grandmother Trout. Um, it's touted as the feminine version of A River Runs Through It. Kathy is also the producer and co-creator of Stanky and Cece Adventures, a children's book series currently in development as an animated series, featuring titles such as Stanky and Cece Break the Rules and Stanky and Cece Out of Control. And I just love how much you love bringing books into the world and stories into the world and uncovering those parts that might not ever have been told. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I can't wait for this conversation. It's like, I was thinking in my walk this morning, it's like, I wonder what Donna and I are going to talk about.
We're going to talk about stories.
Yeah.
So, how did you start working as how did you become the literary midwife? I guess that's what I should ask.
So I began my career in traditional publishing. I was on magazines and book publishing staff, and I identified as a writer. So when people asked, at networking events or whatever, they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a writer." I heard the response, "I've always wanted to be a writer." And finally, after hearing it a number of times, I went, "Oh, the universe is trying to teach me something here, tell me something here." So I began coaching writers. And initially it was just really on the story, crafting the story, and finding some. This was like pre-internet days, so we didn't have blogs. And eventually that's evolved into the whole process of taking maybe blog ideas, moving them to books, and then books, and then marketing them. I have one client, Dr. Mara Carpel. We've been working together almost 12 years. It might even be longer now, and we started with her book, and now we work together to market her, not only the ideas in her book, but some expanded ideas.
Yeah, and that's so important because so many authors put everything they've got into the pre-promotion, the pre-launch. And then once the book is launched and available, they just fall off and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and I was guilty of that with On the Mother Lagoon, Fly Fishing and the Spiritual Journey, which I wrote, I think it was 20 some years ago. And that was also pre-internet, and I've got the rights back and I'll be bringing that back out. But I kind of left the baby at the curb, right?
Yeah.
I went, oh, it's old news, right? But it's not. It's really a testimony of women's fly fishing. So I want to make sure that has new life, and I have to use social and other marketing strategies to bring that out. And it's about networking too, sharing our ideas in groups, just like you.
Yeah, and there's so much life that can come out of a book once it's published. One of the things, like when I start to work with clients that are authors, I'll ask them to share the parts that got edited out with me. And that, there's always a moment there where they get very wistful because there's always something that was edited out that they didn't want edited out. And then now the possibility of it becoming something else.
Right. It's interesting because I find that some authors actually need to write more. They hold back.
Yeah.
And I, because they're afraid how it's going to be received. And so what else do you want to say here? And
Hmm.
that's probably what they've self-edited out, right?
Yeah.
Not that some editor came along, but what they self-edited out. And that's most cases where the juice is.
Yeah. 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 Because it's that little uncomfortable moment there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that people really connect to.
Right, right. And that's a big part of what I do is I hold space for people to go into those uncomfortable places, those
Hmm.
vulnerable places. And, we laugh, we cry, and we polish, and then we present. And it's like often those are the cases, are the places where people go, wow, I love that.
Yeah. And, writing a book is, it's reverence.
Mhm. It's reverence, it's surrender. I really feel that most projects, and I would say most, I probably can't say all, um, most projects come to us when the universe goes, I got a job for you.
Yeah.
Right. And our job is to go, after we say yes, we go, we have to surrender and listen. What really wants to be said here? Um, I do have a pre-writing process where I call it, let's capture those pivotal moments, which is
Mhm.
a really messy outline that gets moved around and whatnot. But, it's listening to those pivotal moments and writing them down and capturing them and then going, all right, what do I do with this? And then listening again and surrendering. It's a sacred process. It really is. And that's why I say we bring light into the world with our words. Um, I, just, well, I don't write horror and I don't work with people who write horror.
Mhm.
I like to sleep at night. So I really I want to work with people who want to make a positive difference in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that's important when you work in any kind of work where, it extends through you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very particular who you're working with, and what's the intention of what they're putting out into the world,
Yeah.
because you're a
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah. It becomes my clients aren't just, it's not transactional, it's relational. We're together for years.
Yeah.
Um, Mara is my, the person who's been with me the longest, but easily 2 years just to write a book. I don't subscribe to the write your book in 90 days. I don't feel like that. You can get some high level outline, high level
Yeah.
process, but to
Yeah.
really get deep into those parts that people connect with, right? Into the parts that really make a difference into other people's lives. I believe you got to sit with it, you got to listen and be ready for the project to change and shift and show you something that wasn't there before. And I have a story for that. I forgot to tell you that the whispered teachings of Grandmother Trout really isn't anymore. I haven't taken it off of Amazon, but here's what
Uh-huh.
happened. This is when many years ago, I had a professor in a fiction class saying your characters are going to get up off the page and do something you didn't expect. And then a novel that never, I lost it actually in a computer crash. But something happened. I wrote a violent date rape scene, and it was like, where the hell did this come from? But I found that. But recently, well, it's actually almost a year ago, I pulled out Whispered Teachings to begin writing the screenplay. That's my new love, my new exploratory genre. Um, and I was finding errors. And I went, how did this happen? There was 3 editors and myself. So I don't know. But beyond that, I realized that um, there was something that I didn't see or feel, or I was too afraid to go into the first round. And so I'm making even bigger changes to the story, to the plot line. One of the characters is becoming a little more visible. And in the sequel, another character's not really a nice person. And I could say, oh my God, look what I did. I put a novel. The novel got good reviews. People loved the story. They wanted more. They're going to get more. And it's retitled. It's retitled The Laguna Madre. So we're working on that. And there's going to be more juice. But the whole point there is I had to let go of my control. It's done. It's done. It wasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go, okay, what are we going to do with this? And trust it. And I'm actually really excited about it now.
You really have to, because books are birthed. And sometimes
yes.
you need a break in between. You need to process. It's not just the book that needs to process. It's it's you too. And sometimes things are rewiring inside of you because you tapped into something. And when I work with authors, if they're self-publishing, I tell them, in the beginning, get your Amazon page, get all that stuff set up, but don't create anything with a deadline until you're ready, because then you're going to be, giving up the creative process for the Amazon deadline process.
Yeah, I don't particularly like deadlines.
Yeah.
Only because I know that at some point, and usually what happens, life happens to the author. Something comes up to put the project on pause.
Mm-hmm.
And in that pause, something comes about that we can bring into the book.
Yeah.
And so I do trust that.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of it, there's also the other side. It's okay, there's some resistance. Somebody's going to read this. I'm going to go to the grocery store and somebody's going to say, I read your book. And that's ooh, I've had that happen. When I was a fly fishing lodge owner, and I wrote On the Mother Lagoon, I had people come into I read your book. Oh my, and it was oh my God, they read my book, right? They saw into my soul. So I've been there and I know how frightening that can be, but it's also it's an honor to be able to infuse somebody with some inspiration and excitement and understanding, because I've often had people say, you wrote exactly what I think, and it was I couldn't say it. So, yeah.
That's great when that happens, because that means you really know your audience, and you trust yourself enough to share beyond what's yours. Because when you put that book out into the world, what only lived inside of you up until that point, now it takes on a whole different life of its own, and that's a process.
Yeah, it does. And some people say, I got to make lots of money with this book, and it's here's what we, going back to that idea, that the universe has gifted us with a mission. We don't know how many people's lives it's going to impact.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's one, but then there's that ripple effect. That one person may make some significant changes in their life, and that ripples out to everybody around them. And I get chills when I say that. And so it's really our job to just trust. And that's not always easy. I'm in the process of a couple projects where I am, the Laguna Madre project is do this again. It's yep, I am. I'm going to pay a designer again and rework it. And I do self-publish only because it's a faster way to get the influence out. And to go through, and I've been traditionally published. I've had agents, and I have had clients get agents, but I think that for many of my clients, their books are really ways for them to get out in the world and become more visible, whether they're speaking or writing. And so we do the self-publishing, and at a very high bar because I've been groomed, so to speak.
Yeah. The world does not need another crappy book.
No. And So we won't go there, but yes.
No. When I work with authors, like the prerequisite is you need to hire a proper editor, a proper book designer, and a proper cover designer. Like,
Right.
don't bring me your book cover from Canva.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
And we learn lessons,
well,
Yeah.
people really do buy the book by the cover.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. And yes, they do. Which is why Laguna Madre is being totally reworked.
And that's
Because
okay. That's okay because it's a story that can be retold in a different way.
it's the bones are there, but it's the I'm gonna say that this is pretty. This is like my confession. I bought the book out, The Whisper Teachings, probably 4 or 5 years ago. No, probably 5 years ago now. And the cover was created by someone who I absolutely love and adore. And then earlier this year, this is how the universe works. I was creating a vision board for the year, and I tore the cover off of one of the books and I stuck it on the because I'm getting the screenplay done. I'm going to get out. I'm going to bring this more visible because I often am the person behind the scenes with everybody else. I forget to be my own plumber kind of thing. And my partner hung the board over my desk, and I walked back into the room and I looked and went, I can't read the title. And I'm going, how did I let that happen? And I think it came down to I was afraid to be visible.
That's often the case.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
often the
really
case.
easy for me to be the wings with
Mhm,
my clients and know what to do. And it's
mhm.
like, oh God, I'm the one that's afraid to go into the grocery store because somebody's going to see. And now I'm like ready. I'm like ready to really bring it out, and especially with the screenplay um, connected to it, which I'm getting good responses to, which makes me sing.
That's really good. You can do like short form storytelling and short form video is really very popular right now. They've actually, in New Jersey, they created a production facility that just
Mm-hmm.
has it's enormous. It's like city blocks long, and it just has all of these different rooms for different vignettes in there. So, like, there's a
Oh, cool.
prison, and there's a courthouse, and there's a grocery store, and there's a school, and you can go in there and you can like rent certain rooms and create little video shorts
Oh, that's
because
a
and
cool.
they did that to accommodate short form video.
Very cool. I wonder if there's probably some. I'm given that I live in the backyard of Hollywood. There's
Yeah, I'm
probably
sure there's something similar there too. But I just, when I read about that, I was like, wow, there's so many opportunities where you can do things on either YouTube or Substack,
Mm-hmm.
and create like an ongoing series. And it doesn't have to be like, perfectly produced because people
Right.
actually respond better to things that aren't.
Yeah.
And, just to have facilities like that, how much fun is that to be able to like you can go get like a group of students
Yeah.
that like art students or acting students and have them live out your scenes
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
and
have a
create
few
content out
clients.
of that.
Yeah, I have a few clients who I envision will have the perfect stories for screens too.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Got
that's
two,
such a,
3 in particular actually. Now that I'm working with.
that would be such a good way to just put things out there and have them be found instead of
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we have so much s- uh, you know, so much opportunity that we never had before and access to tools we never had before. I'm so excited to see where this all goes in the next few years because what we bring to the table, nobody else could bring.
Mm-hmm. That's true because you know, there's a lot of thought leaders, in the world, but the way our experiences influence the way we translate
Yeah.
and project those experiences.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of people in this world, and they're not all going to relate to me or relate to you or relate to, many of the other people we know, but somebody will. And like, again, we just need that one person, right? Who goes, woo, and then that ripple starts.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
know really who
Yeah.
might be.
And honestly, to make a difference, you don't need that many people.
Every book that's birthed, and it is a birthing process, right? And I hold space for that birthing process, and it's a beautiful experience. I get all, when in the intro, I got a little teary because I really do.
Yeah.
The projects that I work with bring light, bring not only to my clients who are writing their transformation, but their worlds expand. Lisbeth, the Little Lost Golf Ball, the children's book,
Mhm.
that I'm watching the author Janice Neeson get into coaching for First Tee right now. And
Mhm.
it's like, wow, that wasn't even on her radar when
Yeah.
we first started working with this book. I think it was 2 years ago now, right? And she's bringing light into little girls' lives and boys too,
Mhm.
to go out, get off the screens and onto the greens, right? Get
Mhm.
outside, get play. So I love being part of part of those movements. And then there's a couple other projects I really can't speak to quite yet, but I'm super excited about them because the ripple effect is there.
So good. So good. And tell me, like, what is your favorite part of the process?
Oh, I have. Okay. And I would say there's two favorites. I love the content creation, watching a story, a book kind of unfold before us.
Mhm.
And then I love the marketing part. It's the middle part, the practical, setting up Amazon and,
Yeah. Oh,
from Spark,
yeah.
and those those things that I would prefer not to. I don't post to social for my clients. I will connect them with people who do. I
Mhm.
will guide them in, we'll pull quotes out of the books and whatnot. And
Mhm.
this morning I got an idea for a client when I was walking. It was like, oh, okay. I get these ideas and I share, but I want
Mhm.
somebody to implement that middle ground stuff.
Mhm.
Right. So I'm probably more of an innovator, ideator, creator than the actual nuts and bolts person. But I can do it because I've done it for years,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I was trained to do. So,
Yeah. I think people need to own their own social. If they want to be a thought leader, they've got to be in there.
you know, I will agree with that, because a few years ago I had this great program I created, had people help promote it. Crickets. And I couldn't figure out what was. I was like, oh my God. I felt like I needed to do the program, and I will be bringing it back out, but my voice was missing in all of that.
Yeah.
And luckily I've been gifted with the ability to hear my client's voice in my head as I'm writing. So any given day, there could be several people in my head, including my own. So I'm able to do that, but they always have to um, look at what I've created and tweak it. It isn't something that I just run with, so.
Okay, so Adele's got it could be a question. Um, but she appreciates the story about not being able to see the book title. So talk to that a little bit. Like, have you seen the title change throughout the process, or like title
Well,
regret?
um, title regret, no, because the whisper teachings really signify was significant at that time in my life. And I
Mhm.
started writing that book when I was a fly fishing lodge owner, and that was in the 2000s, early 2000s, right? So that's who I was then. It was kind of a literary and I was in academia then. And so it fit, but I'm so different now.
Mm.
And it's interesting how I'll never forget where I was when I realized that the title needed to change. I put in sitting here at the computer a long day. My partner was out, so there were some things I wanted to get done. I went, all right, I'm going to power through. Anyway, okay, I'm done. Took a glass of wine out to the balcony, and I started thinking about Taylor Sheridan's The Madison, which we had just finished watching, and I went, oh my God, my title's too long. So then I was going through titles and going, all right, most titles, especially in the screenplay world, right? 1, 2, or 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
They're not long literary exposés, right? And I went, oh my God. It took me several weeks to land on the Laguna Madre, which makes sense because the novel is set in the lower Laguna Madre, which was where I had my fly fishing lodge. And that was also another like, oh my God, I'm become more visible there again, right? It's like, so it's I think there's always this. I was having, again, the title was good for when I first brought it out. And now it's time for me to become more visible and make this book more enticing to a producer who might want to bring it to the screen with me. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of layers there.
And now with clients, like, do clients come to you and they have the perfect title and you know it's not the perfect title and you need to kind of guide them through the letting go piece?
Most of the time, clients come with no title. They have an idea, or they have a working title, and it always changes. I have one client we've been working together probably a year and a half now, and great story, and we're almost through the first draft. We got it's a 42-day journey, 43-day journey that he took on a bike. The title hasn't dropped in. I'm getting a little frustrated because I want to market this thing before we even get it out there. And it was like, so it hasn't dropped in. And that's what I know happens. It will drop in. We may play with it a little, but I think it drops in.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's all part of the birthing process. It doesn't just happen. It can't happen in a weekend.
Right. Like when we find out we're pregnant, we don't immediately go, okay, the kid's going to be named this name, right? And so, and there was those last minute name changes right before you ink the birth certificate, right?
Yeah, we had that. Well, maybe about 8 months in, I realized that my son's initials were going to be MF, and I was like, well, he's going to need a sense of humor anyway.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So, what's the project that, like, if somebody brought this to you, it would be like, okay, everything I've worked towards is like, this is it right here?
Oh gosh. I have 3 of those going right now.
That you're actually working on?
Yeah, I'm coaching one of them, the bike ride, and I'm going to say John DeGregory rode the Transamerica bike ride 2 years ago now, and incredible resilience and epiphanies and whatnot are in his story. I do see that. We could probably take that to screen, at least write the screenplay. Then if the gods want it to be on screen, it'll happen. The other is Jake Sloan. And he is an 80-year-old gentleman who was part of the original 21ers in Mare Island. And they spearheaded a civil rights action about labor injustices. And that he came to me, and somebody brought him to me from one of his assistants, said, you need to meet Kathy. And so we've been marketing it. But the other thing is, like, both of us saw that it could be screened. So I'm working with a couple of my screenwriting mentors to make that happen. I believe that it's a story that should not be forgotten. It's significant. And I get choked up about my projects. If I can bring that to one person's attention who might take it the next step, that's awesome. And then I have another gentleman who came to me probably 4 months ago, whose project, I'm ghostwriting this one. I shouldn't even call it ghostwriting because it's very much a collaborative process. My authors are never just like, go write this book for me. We work together really deeply, hashing out the story. And this one in particular has one of the characters is nature. Learning from almost like, I've said earlier, you've got to listen to the story and surrender to it. This is about surrendering to nature. What does the land want to teach you that you're becoming a part of? And we're just getting started on that one. And that's kind of juicy too. So those are examples. And I also want to say there is not one client in my stable of clients, if you want to call it that I'm not excited about or my heart isn't into, because I can't work with
I can't either.
And a little story, I had someone come to me who worked with a hybrid publisher and promised her the moon. And when she said, I need your help marketing it, I looked at it and went, oh my God. And so we will work together, but we're revamping that book because it was not the best representation of what she wanted. And that makes me sad. So I've had to make and I've fired clients before too. It's like, this isn't working, So normally I can sense that too. It's me going, all right, I can do this. But no, I have to have my heart in it because I'm going to lose sleep over you. I am going to be awakened in the middle of the night with ideas. I'm going to spend my walking time thinking I'm going to plot out my day, and then something will drop in for another client, right? And it's like, oh, and that's what I love. There's some magic and mystery to my work. It's not rote. It's not, go in, check boxes. Every day holds surprises. I was maybe in some ways mystical, but I'm not sure I'm totally in the mystical part all day.
I totally hear you. I sit down at my desk every day, and I've been doing this for at least 20 years. I might have been doing this when I worked in the law firm, but I just don't remember. But I sit down, and the first thing I think is, what's going to happen today that I didn't expect? And at the end of the day, I kind of say, what happened that I didn't expect? I kind of start and end in the same way. And there's not been one day that was planned or structured to the point where there were no surprises.
So one of the things I do every morning, even before I roll out of bed, is I say a prayer. I say, please allow this day to be divinely choreographed. Please allow me to be present for everyone who needs me, especially myself. I used to say including myself, but I say especially now because I've realized I need to take care of myself to be able to really serve to my highest degree. So, yeah. And that's why I know I trusted that this conversation would be exactly what needed to happen. I didn't script it, didn't say, oh, I got to remember these points. It was like, okay, Donna and I can.
I don't script these. I don't really plan for them. I just show up and it goes where it goes. And I don't think there's been one that didn't. We just, talk about whatever needs to be talked about. And I don't know, there's something really special about them.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing yours. And the way that I like to end these is to ask for a wisdom bomb, something small, actionable people could take with them. It could be about your work. It could be about anything you like.
I would say if you hear a story that wants to be given voice to, honor that, trust it. You don't need to know where it's going. Maybe it's just something you need to put down for yourself. But I think we need to trust that more and bring our stories out, whether it's for a big audience or our kids.
Yeah, I agree. It's the thing AI can't do.
That's right. Yes.
Well, thank you, Kathy. And everybody, if you are watching on the replay, tag us with questions, comments, ideas. We'll come back and keep the conversation going. Connect with Kathy on her website, on her Substack, and at the Stanky NCC website. And we will be back. Next week we have our meet and mingle, and we have interviews lined up all the way into November. I think we only have about 2 or 3 left for the year. So we got lots of wonderful women to bring your way, and the replays are always available as well. And thank you, Kathy, for sharing. And it was great to learn more about you and your process, which I knew I was going to love to learn more about, because I think we work in a very similar way.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Donna. I've enjoyed this conversation. It's a great way to start my Wednesday.
Excellent. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and we will be back.